What's up guys, it's Amanda and welcome back to my channel. You might be wondering why you're seeing a time-lapse video on a Wednesday, and that's because this really wasn't a very planned out piece. This wasn't anything that I had considered doing for my channel. I really just wanted to sit down and practice some watercolors. So I thought I would share this on a Wednesday rather than a Friday, just to sort of take some pressure off myself of having my Friday videos be perfect, which they aren't, but I like to put a little bit more thought into those videos, and this really wasn't that, so you're seeing it on a Wednesday. So yeah, I've really been trying to sit down and work on my watercolors a little bit more. So sometimes what I'll do if I'm in the mood, I will just Google some portraits or landscapes, and when I find one I like, I sit down and I paint it, and I paint it with this Winsor & Newton travel watercolor palette. It's nothing great, but it's honestly my favorite thing because I don't think too much. You know, I have these limited colors and I just make it work. And I will insert a picture of the photo that I referenced just so that you can see what it looked like and what I was looking at. I obviously wasn't trying to capture the realism too much, but what I liked about this piece in particular was the colors. I liked how much the lighting really affected the look of the skin, and I wanted to try and play around with that. So I just very loosely sketched it out with a light blue pencil, and then went in with the background first. And I went in with the background because I knew this piece was going to have a lot of blue. So if a little bit of blue got onto the skin or wherever, that kind of was a good thing. And I guess I thought I might be kind of wary of adding a lot of blue to the skin if I, tried to do the skin first. So I went in with the background and kind of let myself be loose and messy, just to sort of start off this illustration with that mindset. So there's a lot of blues and a lot of purples in this piece, and I really like that. And it's different for me. I don't do this color scheme a lot, and I don't know why. It's really easy to do with watercolors too. So I'm really glad that I sat down and decided to do this little practice piece. And it's not perfect, honestly. The funny thing about this watercolor sketchbook that I'm working in, by the way, it's a Strathmore 400 series watercolor journal, I think is what it's called. Every time I sit down to practice watercolors in this, I finish the piece and I'm like, oh yeah, wow, this is good. I can see I'm improving. I like this a lot. And then I look at it 10 minutes later and I'm like, this is ugly. But that's okay. I'm actually really excited to get to the point where I finish this sketchbook and I can sit down and share it with you guys, because I haven't been going through the sketchbook very fast. I've had it for several months and I've maybe only done 4 paintings in it, and it's not very big. It's not something I reach for, so I'm trying to force myself to reach for it a little bit more, just so I can practice watercolor and become more confident in my ability to paint with watercolors. And it's worth noting that at this point, I thought the piece kind of looked like Voldemort, and I thought about giving up, but I didn't. And in the end, it turned out all right. I'm not going to say it looks perfect. I'm not going to say it even really looks that much like the reference picture. Like I said, I wasn't really trying to focus on realism here. I was trying to focus on colors. But the forehead's a little big, the hair's a little tall, the hands are a little weird, but whatever. It's fine. This is why I wanted to share it on a Wednesday. I didn't want to justify my mistakes like I would have in a Friday video where I was like, this is where it went wrong, this is what I want to do better. It's just like, I made this so that I could mess up and feel okay about it. And sometimes you just have to do that. If you don't have like an experimental sketchbook where you kind of let yourself play around, I highly recommend you get one. If you don't already do this sort of thing in your normal sketchbook, maybe you're better off finding like a separate place for it, like an experimental sketchbook, or maybe reserve a sketchbook just for working in a certain medium so that you really can focus on just using that medium. And you know, it might help you out a lot, actually. I think it's been helping me. I don't know, you guys will have to tell me when you finally do see that sketchbook tour, which I'm not sure when I'll actually get around to finishing this sketchbook. It's not very big. I think there's only about 30 pages in this sketchbook if I only do one painting on each page rather than using both sides of the page. I'm not sure yet. Also, at this point, kind of looks like Michael Jackson. It took a few interesting turns before we finally call it finished. And I do go in at the very end and shade with some colored pencils, just very loosely, and that kind of helped finish it off. But eventually, I would like to get to the point where I use just watercolor for an entire piece without feeling the need to reach for colored pencils to make it look better. Because colored pencils are sort of my crutch when it comes to watercolors, and I want to work through that and get past that. But I'm kind of trying to stick true to my Make Bad Art message or video, and if you guys haven't seen that video, I will link it, and I'll put it in a card so that you can check it out, because it's so important to me that you guys see that I don't always make good art, and I don't always make art that I'm happy with, and that is just part of the process. It's part of learning, and it's part of improving. So yeah, that was sort of the message of today's video. And you know, maybe you like it, maybe you think it's really good. I think it's just okay, and I'll do better next time, but I'm happy that I sat down and just played around with this. If anything, it's really inspired me to push myself to use more blues and purples in my shadows, because it looks so dynamic, and I'm really having fun with that. So hopefully you'll see me utilize these techniques in future illustrations, be it with watercolor or marker, because I actually really enjoy this. And even though I'm not proud of a lot of the artwork that I've done in this sketchbook so far, I'm proud of myself for doing it anyway. I know that sounds weird, but here's a look at the finished piece. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you Friday with a brand new video. Bye!